All right, welcome back to your Push Coach, everyone. My name is Josh. I'm your Push Coach, and I'm so excited to bring to you another behind-the-scenes one-on-one session. I've got Kayla with me, who is just got some things in her business that she wants help with. I've chatted with her behind the scenes a little bit to kind of know what's going on with her and her business, and I really thought that this would just help everyone who is listening. So we're actually sending this out to our 626 program as a little bit of like a little bonus session, but then for fun, we're going to share it with the whole world via the podcast. So, Kayla, thanks for being here. Oh, you're welcome. So tell me what's going on with your business.
So I have a health and wellness business. I lost 130 pounds, and that's really kind of, documented my journey as I started on this whole thing. And so like I've got a following on Instagram and on Facebook, but I'm really struggling to get, like, I'm not converting at a high enough level.
Okay. Struggling to convert. So we have a following. Okay. So I'm assuming we already have a solution and an ideal client, which I want you to walk me through a couple of those things so that we can kind of figure out like what's the missing piece, right? Like we've got getting new people to come in and building a relationship and converting. And where I found is most people don't know how to put all three together. That's where 6 and 7 figure business comes in, is when it's like, I can get new people and I can convert new people. When people struggle to get to 6 and 7 figures, it's usually I can get people, but I can't convert them, or I can convert people, but I can't get them. So you've got the I can get them, but I can't convert them problem, right? So let's talk about, first of all, what is the actual solution that we're selling on the back end, just so I can learn a little more about that.
So I have a monthly membership that people can come into, and that's a $50 a month membership. And then I have a one-on-one pack.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how much is that?
That one is $400 to help walk them through like the mental part of the weight loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dig. Okay. So I know what you're offering. Okay. What would you say is different about like the solution you have for people than the common thing that people are trying or doing?
So I think it's kind of twofold. Like one, just my experience and like my transformation. So like having someone who has walked through it before and kind of knows what you're struggling with is one big thing. And then just the challenges, the giveaways, like just to help people learn how, because the reality is there's so many different ways to lose weight. Mm-hmm. The problem is that they can't figure out how to stay consistent and not quit on it. And so I do some trainings and teachings every month in the group on that. And then on top of that, we run like challenges and giveaways to kind of help them with that motivation until they really start seeing results.
Okay. So the hard part, you said there are so many different ways to lose weight. The hard part is staying consistent. So it sounds like the key to like the thing that you offer specifically is some version of helping people be consistent. Is that correct?
And
Okay.
I learned
accountability.
And then I guess the mindset piece, because that's the big, like, it is such a delicate.
Yeah.
To learn to not be mean to yourself if you want to lose weight. Otherwise, you're just self-sabotage.
Right. That's a really important distinguishment, by the way, because accountability is sellable. Okay. But there are a lot of people who offer it.
Right.
So to me, the mindset is actually, at this point, it's like you need accountability. But what if that accountability doesn't understand the mindset problems you are dealing with? That's the angle. And with every single product, program, service, you always have to find like, what is the angle that like shows that you have something a little bit different and there is a reason to give you money. Because if we can't find that specific angle, that's usually what I like dive in with my one-on-one clients with, is like, let's dig into all of this and find your angle. Because if you don't have an angle, all you have is another product or service that sounds and looks like everyone else's product and service. And that's, to me, like the biggest problem with network marketing. You got a whole bunch of people selling the same products that didn't take the time to find their angle. They're all repeating the exact same information, so they're creating more competition for each other instead of going, okay, but how do I present this product in a different way than other people? That's my angle. You get what I'm saying? So like, we all have to have an angle, or I'm just another mindset coach, right? For me, it's like the psychology of sales. I need you to understand there's a connection here to the way the subconscious mind works with, one, how you're dealing and processing with things, but also the person you're talking to, how they're dealing and processing with things. If you don't understand that, it don't matter. And so once we know that, then we can take them from step one to the next couple of steps. So take me to step one, which is, you said, hey, I've got a following. I've got people coming in. You know, what is it that people are coming in for? Is it free resources? Is it just your page content? Like what's the essentially the first step people are taking with you?
So a lot of them come in for my premium, which is recipes for weight loss or weight loss tips. Okay. And like I said, like I documented my whole thing. So I have a lot of video footage of me before and after. So that transformation kind of gets some traction in it.
Okay. So step one is recipes. Okay. So you've got a woman, I'm assuming, who wants to lose weight. Okay. She comes to you for recipes, right? Now, she's opting into a freebie, right? So you're getting the email address. We have a way to keep communicating with them. And by the way, if you're listening to this, you're like, I'm not getting emails. It's okay. Your page can be the way you communicate with people. It's just that if you also get them on your email, it's like you get to hit them from multiple places and multiple angles. And I, as most people know, am a huge advocate for email marketing because you get to do more long form marketing, which sometimes that's what you need to like really tell a story, right? So got a woman, and now you said that you lost 130 pounds. I'm assuming by telling that story, you get a lot of women who have a good amount of weight to lose. Probably not a lot of women with 5 pounds to lose coming to you, correct?
Right. So my ideal client is usually someone who has a pretty substantial amount of weight to lose. And she's almost always someone who has struggled with weight. I've been morbidly obese for 20 plus years. So usually it's someone who has struggled, who has dieted and been on the yo-yo, you know, the roller coaster their whole life. And they're just, they can't figure out how to stop quitting.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is going to be really simple. It's going to be so simple. All we got to do from here is build the belief bridge, you know, just like I talk about inside the 626 all the time. The belief bridge is just essentially plugging in psychology to walking them down the path of where they are to where they need to go. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of write a workshop together, because for me personally, if we can write the workshop, like the webinar, if you like everyone needs to have a sales mechanism or like a vehicle. In other words, we're getting people here. Okay. There's two ways to close a sale. One is one-on-one conversations, which absolutely we can do that. I got a lot of resources on that. But two is, how do we create more of an experience that makes people want to buy? Okay. And that's usually inviting everyone to some type of a free workshop or something like that. So every single person that gets your free recipes can also get an invite to a free live workshop where you're going to be walking them through the exact steps. Okay. So Step one is calling out to them. So for instance, I'm just going to use some generic terms and you can sexy these up later. Sound good? Okay. So free workshop for women who want to lose at least 40 pounds, and you can change that number. I'm just coming up. I think specificity is really important, right? If you just say women who want to lose weight, again, it's kind of can get thrown into like, okay, now you're just mixed in with everyone else in the world. When you say 40 plus pounds or 50 plus pounds or 80 plus, again, you can choose the number, you know what I mean? But that specific number says to someone who has that kind of weight to lose, oh, this is my person. Versus the other health coaches that are out there to help, postpartum women lose the baby weight. That's a totally different audience. That's a totally different person. There's nothing good or bad or right or wrong about either of those two audiences, but we need to make sure people know I'm the person you come to when you need to lose a lot of weight. Not the baby weight. If you're just trying to lose baby weight, you're not my person. Some people are like, wait, no, I don't want to lose people. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because you don't want to accidentally mix in a bunch of people that don't really fit and don't really belong. They will never feel the same community and belonging and support, and they won't respond to your story and your messaging moving forward. So there's really no point in opening it up to include more people if it makes the right people feel less included. We want the right people to feel really included and everyone else to be like, that's not really for me. Okay. So free workshop for women who want to lose at least 40 pounds. We're going to get on the workshop. Okay. And we're going to say, basically, if you're here today, it's probably because you have more than 40 pounds to lose. If you're like me, I actually lost 130 pounds and have kept it off. But if you're here today, you're probably wondering this. I love to start everything off with a question. Why is it so hard to lose the weight when you used a word earlier about like being like your whole life? What was the verbiage you used?
So like I've been morbidly obese my whole life. It's just like a
yeah.
You just
morbidly obese your whole life. That was the terminology I was looking for.
I was trying to think of what I said.
Why is it so hard to lose the weight when you have been morbidly obese your whole life? Okay. Now, that to me is like the power. And that's why you don't necessarily want a girl who just wants to lose 5 or 10 pounds on your workshop. Because the journey we're about to take people on is a very personal one that will only relate to them if they've been morbidly obese their whole life. And to that person, you are about to feed them so much magic, they will want to give you everything they have to work with you. Okay? And that's so important for everyone listening. If you don't get specific enough, we can't tell specific enough of a story and take them on specific enough of a journey for you to become the person they have to work with. Really big difference between, oh, you're fun, I like you, versus I have to work with you right this second, take all of my money. Make sense? So you're going to walk them through some of the thoughts and feelings you used to have about why it's so hard to lose the weight when you've been morbidly obese your whole life. Go ahead and feed me some of that.
I just felt like a failure. I mean, I didn't feel like I didn't trust myself to do it because all I really ever did was prove to myself that I couldn't, and I quit. It was just hard. Like, I just was so ashamed of myself and I just felt trapped in my body. But at the same time, like, food seemed to be the only thing that really comforted me. And so I used that to make myself feel better. And then that just hate myself more. And then it was a cycle of eating and then feeling terrible and swearing I was never going to do it again. And then eating. And again, like, I was so angry at myself for just failing. I mean, I that was the one thing I wanted most of all. And it was the only thing I didn't seem like I could achieve. I was an overachiever and like had so many other things that I felt successful in so many other areas, but I just told myself, like, I just felt like such a failure because I couldn't get that one thing.
Man, that was really powerful stuff. And for anyone who listened well enough, you will find that everything she just said relates to any and every problem you might be dealing with in life that you've dealt with for multiple years. But again, the specificity of the morbidly obese is what makes it land for the right person, right? Just like if, I could almost say all of the exact same things about business, right? But if I just said it about a vague thing, it doesn't hit for anybody. If I say it about a specific thing, anyone who has dealt with that exact problem is like, oh my God, Kayla, it's like you're reading my freaking journal right now. So that's the introduction to when we get on the webinar. By the way, you also just wrote all of your best marketing material for the webinar. Are you someone with more than 40 pounds of weight to lose? You might be feeling like you are such a failure because it's the thing you've wanted to do more than anything else in life, and yet it's the only thing you can't seem to figure out. You figured out how to raise kids, you figured out how to work a career or take care of, you figured out all these things, but this one singular thing that you care about more than anything else in the world, you can't seem to figure it out, and it's literally making you feel crazy. If you want to know the exact steps I took to finally figuring this out, losing 130 pounds, and creating a brand new life for myself, join my free workshop. Click here to join. You see how easy that is? It's literally just taking our own feelings and experiences about something specific. And again, the specificity is everything. Okay? Because everything you were thinking and feeling is the same thing they are thinking and feeling. And of course, we can go a step further as I teach in the 626 and go take polls and surveys to get even more of their specific words. Sometimes we struggle to go back in time and think about the struggles and the feelings. It sounds like you went there, no problem.
Yeah.
It's very clear that it's something you struggled with for your whole life because you can still recite it like it happened yesterday.
I know her very well.
So we got it nailed. Okay. So that's both the email marketing. It's also the intro to our webinar that gets everyone leaning in going, holy shit, Kayla, that is exactly how I'm feeling. That is exactly what I'm experiencing. The next thing we do is really important. The next thing we say, we have a big, huge slide that says, it's not your fault. And here's why it's not your fault. Because you've been given meal plan after meal plan and workout after workout and accountability group and after a million after another. Is where we got to kind of find our enemy, Kayla. And in my opinion, the easy enemy here is just the whole health and fitness industry was created by 25-year-old fitness models for 25-year-old fitness models. And if you're someone who has 40 plus pounds of weight to lose, you can't just count your calories. You can't just work out. And today I'm actually going to prove to you that there is one specific thing you absolutely have to do. And if you do it, your life will be forever changed. And if you miss this one thing, unfortunately, you will probably continue to struggle. And that's when we go into what I call a pivot/angle. And we literally come up with an analogy or a story that proves the point we want to make. Now, based on what we talked about earlier, the point you want to make is that your mindset is the thing that's actually keeping you from losing weight. Obviously, you have other pieces that come with it. You're happy to give them the other pieces, but if we don't address this, we'll never matter. Now, I would take it a step further than mindset, just because this is literally what I do in my messaging, and I would say the subconscious. because the subconscious is, and you can literally steal some of my messaging for this. I love to use the quote that says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. So I'm going to let you steal one of my analogies, okay? And that analogy is basically this. I want you to pretend, and we literally just go right into this, like we just go right into a story like it's part of our presentation, because it is, okay? So after we kind of go through the it's not your fault, I want to explain why. If you get this one single thing, it'll change your life forever. If you don't, unfortunately, you'll probably continue to struggle, okay? I want you to imagine for a second that let's think about the subject from school you hate more than any other subject. Now, just for fun, I'm going to choose math, because so many people are triggered by math, by algebra, by literally the words I'm saying right now are making you cringe, okay? I want you to imagine that it's fourth grade, okay? And you have now got bad grades on math test after math test after math test after math test. And at first you're like, whatever, not a big deal. But the more you go and the further and the longer you struggle, the more you start to think, I must suck. Before you know it, it has become a new belief. I suck at math. If I were to throw out a math formula right now, some of you on this call would be like, oh, I love math. Let's dig in. Others of you would be like, I hate math. There's no way I'm going to figure it out. Now, is it true that just because you suck at math, you wouldn't be able to figure it out? Is that true? Or is that just how you feel about the situation? It's not true. Like, most of you could figure out the math equation. If nothing else, have freaking AI do it for you these days, right? Like, we can all come to a solution. But the reality is those who believe, who have been told over and over and over that they are good at math, will instantly jump in, figure it out, very little struggle. And even if they have a struggle, they won't even notice, because they've been preconditioned to believe they can figure it out. Now, I want to take you on another journey. Let's pretend you actually aren't necessarily that bad at math, but you're not doing that great at it either. And you come home with an F on a math test. And your dad looks you in the eye, the person you look up to more than anyone in the world, and says, I can't believe you got an F on this math test. Are you just stupid? And in that one singular moment, you went from being completely neutral about math to, in one single instance, having something put on you that was so emotional and so heavy that in that instant, you took on the belief, I suck at math. And the rest of your life, you went on saying, I suck at math. I'm not any good at math. I guess I'm not any good at this. And you might be thinking that's not a big deal. Whatever, math, we got freaking calculators on our phones. Not a big deal. Because on a conscious level, you realized I suck at math. But I want to take it a whole step deeper and say, on a subconscious level, what you didn't realize was in that moment, you also took on a belief that said, I have to perform to earn my Father's love. In other words, I have to achieve in order to get love. Can I ask you guys something? I know this is a silly analogy about math, but is there anyone here who feels like if you don't lose the weight, you're not even worthy or deserving of love? On a conscious level, it's, I don't love the way I look. I don't love the way I feel. I don't like the way these clothes fit. But on a subconscious level, it's, I'm not even worthy or deserving of love. So let me ask you something. If you are completely convinced on a subconscious level that you are not worthy of love, and you are trapped in a cycle of self-hatred, how well will you be able to stick to the workout plan or the meal plan? And that's when we pull this out. Until you learn to diagnose and treat the root of the problem, you will continue to recreate a cycle of self-sabotage. When you finally learn to deal with your subconscious thoughts and beliefs, you can break free from anything that has held you back and finally lose the weight for good and keep it off. And now people are just like, just give me whatever you have. Now, we're still going to teach a little bit more. We're going to take them kind of into the pillars of the program, that part of the workshop. I'm going to pause here because we've already gone like 25 minutes and I don't want this to turn into like a 2-hour, basically a 2-hour podcast episode, if you will. But that's the first half of the workshop. And that's what sets them up to want to hear what you have to teach. And we just have to be very careful on the second half of the webinar not to give away the goods. So from here, you establish 2 to 3 pillars. These are the pillars that are in your program. It's what you already teach, okay? But we're very careful to say, okay, who here wants to be a master of ending the self-sabotage cycle? Show me jazzies if you want to learn exactly how to do that. Cool, that's what we're going to do next. So step 1 to ending self-sabotage is knowing what your triggers are. And I'm just making something up. You would know better than me. I'm just making something up to give an example. Once we introduce that pillar, this is what we do. When you don't know what your triggers are, here's what happens. And we go into like, instead of like actually teaching them how to find their triggers, because that's what we're going to do inside the program. We're going to go through all of the cons of not learning it. So when you don't know what your triggers are, you might find yourself waking up from a daydream at like 10:30 in the morning with a bowl of food in your lap and you don't even know how you got there. When you don't know what your triggers are, you might accidentally allow some of your own insecurities and self-esteem issues to churn into anger that gets projected on other people that hurt your relationship. You might end up, and you just go through like 4 or 5 of these things. And then you say, when you do know what your triggers are, you can finally take control. And you basically just present the opposite of what you just said. Okay. You don't actually tell people how to identify their triggers. You do say, inside my program, I literally walk people through identifying what their exact triggers are. I can't really do that here on this workshop because everybody's a little bit different. But I want you to see what happens when we do this. And then you move on to the next pillar and you do the same thing. Move on to the second pillar. You say, whatever that thing is, you say, what happens when you don't have it? What happens when you do have it? I wish I could walk everyone through it, but that's what I do inside my program with 30 people here. It would be impossible to pin this down for each person. But by the end of it, you have basically painted this picture of when you don't learn my systems, this is what happens, which that is literally what they're currently seeing. So there's some proof and evidence. When you learn my things, this will happen instead. And then at the end, we basically say, so I'm just curious if I had a program that walked you through your specific triggers, your specific beliefs, your specific things, and gave you the tools you needed, the supplements, the meal plans, like whatever. Like if you could have all of those things combined into one program, who would be interested in that? And everyone's hands go up, and then you go into your cocaine promises and your pitch. Make sense?
Yeah, your mind is a fascinating.
To me, it's like going back to something I said earlier. All human behavior and psychology is the same. It's just a matter of having the specificity of the struggle to attach that to. Everything that I just said for you is the exact same thing I would have said for someone that wanted to help moms lose 5 pounds. We just would have gone into the specificity of what it feels like when you can't lose that 5 pounds. And it's honestly the same thing. You feel like a failure. Human nature is the same worldwide. Okay. And life coaching taught me that, the reality is you can throw me in a room with anybody struggling with anything. The life coaching process will be exactly the same. It'll just sound different based on the person's struggle. But underneath that struggle, it's the same shit. You can't lose weight. You can't make money. You can't fix a relationship. It's all the same shit happening underneath the ground. The same exact thing, but saying it about something more specific is what makes someone listen. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you better put together that workshop and start inviting people like crazy. And like I said, you take the things that people are currently feeling, okay, and you can split like literally what we talked about today. If we had a full hour together, I could write like 8 emails for you promoting the workshop just based on the stuff you told me at the beginning. Because it's essentially just feeding back the way people are feeling about the situation they're stuck in and then saying, if you're ready to finally make a permanent change like I did, join me here. Make sense? Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it so much, friend. And if you have more questions, we can chat offline about it, okay? Sound good? Cool. All right. Friends, thank you so much for listening. For those in the 626, we're sending this out to you right away. The podcast might not be getting it for a couple more weeks. I'm not exactly sure what the schedule is there. I know we've been cranking out a lot of stuff lately, but just a reminder, okay? When you understand the psychology behind how human brains and behavior works, sales and marketing literally becomes a plug and play. Like I literally had 2 one-on-ones this week with people that are like, I have this thing to sell. I don't know how to create the messaging that gets people to go from just liking and commenting to actually buying. And for me, like, honestly, both one-on-ones, I wrote like 8 different posts for them because to me, it's just a plug and play system when you get the psychology of it. Okay. So there's 2 things you can do. 1, go learn the psychology. Okay. You can learn more about that inside our 626 program. Obviously we have a life coach certification where like we take all of that to a whole nother level, but I'm also offering a few done for you packages. So if you're someone who's like, Josh, I love the way your brain works. That is magical and amazing, but I don't know how to get my brain to work like that. You can literally hire me to do some one-on-one calls and write your messaging for you. If you're interested in that, just reach out, info@joshcoates.com or send me a DM on Instagram. Okay, guys, I love you so much. I believe in you. Just a reminder, we've been putting out some new chapters of the audio book for the best version of you. So if you have ordered that book, the audio book is automatically in your library. If you haven't ordered that book, you can get it for free on my website at joshcoates.com. All right. Love you so much. Everything you need already on the inside. All the resources you'll ever need are right under your nose. We will see you next time.